Moment with the Master is brought to you by Woodpeckers. Farm to table might best describe the furniture making process of Garrett Hack. Let's go to his amazing hand-built Vermont workshop and spend a moment with this self-sufficient master woodworker.
How lucky am I to work here every day?
Over the mountains and through the woods, travel up and down this windy, leaf-covered Vermont road, and finally, you'll find it. The picturesque property that's home to one of the most intriguing furniture makers of our time, Garrett Hack. He does it all. He's a farmer,
But I got some nice early things going.
a forester,
Nice hard maples in here, sugar maples, another red oak.
and a fine woodworker. His skills are as natural as the locally grown elements he uses to produce stunning pieces like these. It was an honor to be invited to Garrett's hand-built workshop to learn more about this master craftsman and hear about the path he took to get to where he is today. Let's talk about young Garrett Hack. Where are you from? I mean, are you from here? Or
I grew up in Connecticut, and my father bought a farm across the river in New Hampshire, which is 10 miles away, if that, in the mid-'60s. So I was very taken by we come up here to ski and that kind of thing. I was very taken by Vermont. And when I had a chance to buy this piece of land in 1979, I did. I was just out of college, 5 years out of college. I was building furniture back then and been on the same piece of land now for 36 years.
Well, it looks like a great fit. Your elementary and high school teachers, did they see something in you, or did you gain something from them?
I did work back then. In high school, I did some work. I did some school in middle school. I have a piece that I still have from them, a pair of bookends that I made with my name carved on them. But I did some in high school. I had a pretty good shop and a pretty good instructor, so I got a little bit of a feel for that. But I studied engineering and architecture at Princeton, so I didn't do anything with woodworking then. It was only after I got out in '74 that I moved back to New Hampshire and decided I really wanted to do things that related to woodworking. So I was doing more construction. I was really interested in barns. So I was taking down barns and moving them. I moved one and made a house out of it for myself, as well as repairing the heavy timber structures of barns, which I found very, very fascinating. How did they design these so that they were efficient and that kind of thing? And then slowly segued into doing more of the things inside these structures, and that really sort of got me going in furniture. I went to Boston University's program in artisanry, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the best program there was. J.R. Osgood was my teacher. He's still a friend and a peer. And then when I got out of there in '80, I went 2 years, which is plenty enough because I already had a degree and I didn't need any more degrees. I didn't even get a degree from them. I just was in the shop for 2 years. I set up and basically on this land built a shop. It's part of the house now. And then in '93, I started building this place.
Well, Garrett, this is part of your footprint. A big part of it is this beautiful shop. I understand you built it all with your hands.
Yeah, not 100%. I had help with an electrician friend to do the electrical work. But no, I wanted to learn about stone and cutting stone. We have a lot of granite here in Vermont. And I wanted to learn about bricks, which I've always been curious about, how to lay bricks. So I had a mason friend help me with that part. And I wanted to do a slate roof. I always wanted to do a slate roof. So and we have a lot of good slate on the western side of Vermont, right up against New York State. So I started in 1993, cleaning the bricks. Took over a year to clean the bricks. I learned how to cut the stone and cut that for the foundation, and then slowly worked on the inside, and all the wood came off the land for the most part. I love the idea of the light, how much light I get. I love the idea that it's a very inviting place for someone to come, clients to come. They're intrigued by it. They say, what's this old building here? Some people call it a church. And I love the fact that when I was cleaning the bricks, I found this one, October 25th. I found it October 24th, as I remember. And this one says Butcher. That was fun to find those.
Garrett, I just think your scale for each piece is just beautiful. From the ratios of one piece, a proportion is just one. Does that come from your architectural studies, or?
I think it comes from just doing it and really being introspective about it and look at it and say, does that really work for my eye? I think you get, Woodworking is additive. You don't just start out one day and build a masterpiece, a highboy or whatever it is. You've got to build other things and build up the skills. And in my work, it's always an evolution. I'm always looking, okay, I'm working here. Where else can I go with it? What's the next step to take these ideas, whether they're decorative ideas or aesthetic ideas in terms of shape or whatever it is. And I think that a lot of that proportion stuff just comes from developing your eye.
Your work is so clean.
Well, thanks.
Is one of the first things that I've always seen, and so well executed.
Hand tools.
With hand tools, and you're continuing to push curves and bow fronts and surprises with little drawers and tell us about your direction there.
Well, the piece I'm working on now is the most complex in my career, and it's bringing together a lot of the ideas that I've evolved for the last 40 plus years. It's got a lot of little drawers, it's got a lot of little secret drawers and secret drawers within secret drawers and that kind of thing. I talk about levels of encryption. It's got lots of levels of encryption. As I'm working, I'm often thinking about solving this problem, but then, okay, what's the next problem? What's the next, how else could you use this? It's a commission from a couple in New Hampshire that owned a couple of my pieces already. And they wanted me to build something that really pushed my skills as far as I could go. They basically said the sky's the limit. And they didn't have any requirements for what it actually does. It doesn't have to fulfill any functional need other than just to have it to be a very entertaining piece and fun piece and that kind of thing. So I spent about 3 years thinking about the design. As I said, I was a deer in the headlights for that long because that's an amazing commission. You want to really do the most.
It's the perfect commission.
Yeah, you want to do something really amazing. So I started out with the shape. So I will often start with a pattern. This is the most direct way for me to actually build the piece. It's got a reference lines and various things. It's got the overall shape. And then the interesting thing about that is that pattern is projected through the piece, but not necessarily in a linear way. If you look at this back here, you'll see the way this stave, when it's all done, and you really only can see one stave, it's going to it has a curve to it. I've got to shape some of these a little bit more. But the idea is that it's got an outward flare to these staves now that will form the...
So there's kind of a flare or a taper.
There's a taper
all
to it.
The way, yeah.
And this is what the staves are actually going to look like, something more like this when you put that skin on there. So what's interesting is you've got these legs in the front that cant back in space, they splay, those little splay, and then you've got to go from basically a straight line to this flaring line, and then come back again on the other side. So there's a lot of technical challenges, and then I've got all these internal partitions. So this has got about 20 or more drawers. I haven't totaled it up yet, and there's about maybe half of those are secret. There's three drawers that come out here, and this is actually, I haven't pulled this piece out very much, but this comes out. This is how the timbre goes in. There's a timbre door that goes in, that goes all around the front, and this has to come in from the back. So the little drawers here that fill in this space allow me to still move the timbre in. And then these are the drawers and the top. So this is where I started building, was building these parts. So this is a piece that goes up in here, down in here, in this position. This forms the curve of this. And then this is the piece that comes in here. They flow together. You can't see that yet, but they'll flow together. And then these three drawers happen below. And these sort of ripple.
Yeah, the ripples are just fascinating.
Yeah.
What were some of the problems, or, I mean, evidently these are the successes. What were some of the problems in doing that?
I could show you one of the not successes. This is the one that wasn't such a successful one. The problem I had was I couldn't get the fibers to move into the form as well as I would like.
Tell you, Garrett, it's been wonderful to see that we all have, or should have, challenges in our pieces, and we have to just work them out, one question at a time.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And you do a marvelous job of that. I can't wait to see this piece. Is it going to be in the magazine?
Oh, it'll probably be somewhere.
Well, wherever
It'll
it
be
is,
shown
can't
somewhere.
wait to see it.
Yeah.
You've had such an influence over so many woodworkers through Highland Woodworking magazine and teaching all over the world and building these beautiful commissions. What would you like for your legacy to be? How would you like to be remembered?
I know it's funny to hear about the school of Garrett Hack, but there actually is sort of a school of Garrett Hack out there. I think just passing on my passion has really been fun. I love the idea that we've been teaching in Europe a lot more, my wife and I. She comes with me to support me. Very, very important part of it. I think that's probably the thing that's going to last, is the books, the articles, the sort of pieces of furniture. And I would say that all that teaching and just passing on that enthusiasm is what I hope to be remembered for.